Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Second Star to the Left. I'm Michelle, and this is my daughter, Billy.
Hi.
And here's where we share board game reviews, ramblings, and a few wrong turns along the scenic route. This video has been a long time coming. In fact, the next 5 videos have been a long time coming. Billy and I have wanted to do our top 50 for a while, and we thought since our channel anniversary is coming up, that we would end on our top 10 on the channel anniversary. So stick around for all 5 of these. A few things to talk about before we make these lists. One, lately we haven't been playing a lot of heavy games, so you're not going to see a lot of heavy games on here. That's fine. It doesn't mean we don't like heavy games. We do, but lately these are the ones that we're playing. And this list was judged based on the following things: a perfect day with the perfect group, the perfect amount of spoons, no setup and no cleanup, so no one is responsible solely for that.
So a game wasn't held back by being like a lot to do.
Right?
I weighed like a... I can't give examples because they'd be on the list.
I haven't seen Billy's list. She has maybe been cheating and looking at mine. I'm not sure. We used Pub Meeple to rank these. We didn't fiddle with the lists too much, just a little bit. And I'm not even going to add in honorable mentions. I'm going to go straight 50.
Yeah, I think I only moved one thing.
Yeah, I moved 1. So let's see how 50 to 51 go. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do like I go first and then you go first, or you just want to go back and forth? Number 50.
Uh-huh.
For me, is That Old Wallpaper.
That's a good one.
Which kind of breaks my heart that it's all the way down at 50. But I like I said, we used Pub Meeple, and I'm not going to question how that worked out. There's so many good games that once you get up into this top 50, they're just all really good games. That Old Wallpaper is a card-laying, pattern-building, drafting game by our friend Nathan Thornton that we absolutely love. We picked this up last year at Gen Con, or the
2
year
years
before
ago,
at Gen Con.
Time is funny.
Time is funny, and we played it with everyone we could show it to when we first got it. It hasn't hit the table a lot lately, and I think that might be why it's down a little bit lower. But it is a great game, and I absolutely adore it, and it looks so pretty on the table.
It really does.
Okay, Billy, what's your 50?
Well, I was just looking over my list, and, we had some technical difficulties while we were pub meepling, and you provided my list. I believe you might have left a couple things out.
I did. I left out That Wallpaper.
Yeah.
So that would have been somewhere in your top 50?
It would have been, because I was just about to say, yeah, that's in mine too.
But it wasn't.
And then I looked, and it wasn't, and I panicked, like, oh, is it lower than it should be? And it wasn't. It wasn't
It's
anywhere
just
on the
not
list.
on the list.
It just wasn't ranked.
So Billy doesn't have the same list of games because a lot of them were solo games that she's never played, so we took them off.
So you tried to help
I
by
helped.
removing the games I didn't play.
I did. I helped a lot.
And you removed a game I liked.
Okay, well, what's your 50?
Well, according to this, and I don't know how accurate it is because it's not all the games I've played, this is my top 50 of almost all of the games.
What's your 50?
Indian Summer.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's the first game I feel like I discovered at a convention.
Yeah.
And I know, obviously, like, I did not...
Billy discovered Indian Summer.
I hadn't heard about it and found it for myself because it was being played at a table.
You actually brought me over to show it to me, and it was not at PAX Unplugged. It was at PAX East.
Pre-Unplugged.
And Indian Summer is one of the Uwe Rosenberg polyomino games with a beautiful fall theme and little critters, little hedgehogs, and
they're so cute.
And raccoons. And it's kind of a race to fill your board because you're trying to fill all the spaces and score the most points in typical Uwe polyomino style. There's an interesting draft that goes around the main board when you're picking up pieces. But I will say, other than Tetris on a Game Boy, this was the first polyomino game that we played.
Mm-hmm. It was. It was what kicked it all off.
It was. Okay.
I'm glad it's on my list.
Yeah, I remembered that one. So my 49 is a game that we picked based on theme and art, and I stand by that decision, and that is The Bloody Inn.
Yeah.
So
that's an amazing
there's nothing like being, a very old French inn. I believe it's French. And some of the people that come into the inn you're going to help, and some of them you're going to bury in the backyard. And
sometimes both.
And you'd better bury the bodies before the police come. So it's just a really wonderful, kind of macabre themed game with fantastic art. That was one of our early games. These games that are on this list are some of the earlier games that we had, at least in this part of my list.
The same for me. You know what? Actually, that's not true. There's some new stuff mixed in. But a lot of the next 10 or 20 games on the list, there's a lot of old classics sprinkled in.
So what's your 49?
Isle of Skye.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. Isle of Skye was our next on from Carcassonne. So it's a lot like Carcassonne, where you're building those little square tile paths.
One of our first games we got after we started getting games as a thing.
Mm-hmm. You're bidding on items in front of other players from behind a privacy screen, so no one can see what your bids are until you lift the screen, which I always found kind of fun. Mm-hmm. You try and make somebody go all in and spend all their money when you weren't going to bid on that one to begin with. And it's just really pretty.
It is.
It's really pretty. So, yeah, I like that one. I think that was just a little bit lower on mine, but it's definitely in the same ballpark. My number 48 is a newer game, but it is an adorable game, which seems to be a theme. I mean, not that Bloody Inn was adorable, but you'll see going forward. There's a lot of that.
I just peeked at your list.
Why did you look at my list?
Because you were talking about the game, and I had to see it.
You're a cheater.
But I want to tell you something very interesting.
What?
We both have it as 48.
Oh, we have a real crossover?
It's a real crossover.
Yay! I didn't think we would have a lot of those, because I'm not sure we have a lot on the list.
But 48, yep.
48.
Go
So
ahead.
48 is Spots, which is a little dice throwing game where you're trying to fill out the spots on your tiny little Dalmatians using dice, where the pips are all kind of irregular, so they look like dog spots on the dice. There is a definite push your luck element, which is why mine are always in the doghouse. I have a little trouble stopping.
Connor and Dad have enjoyed this one too a lot.
Yeah. The whole family actually liked this one. I like that you have all those different cards that you can use for their tricks that they can do, if they can roll over or beg or howl or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And those tricks allow you to re-roll dice or get another dog or get some bones that allow you to change the pips on the dice. So that was just a really light, really fun game for when you just want to throw some dice around. Mm-hmm. And it was an actual crossover. Yes. My number 47 is absolutely not on Billy's list.
You never know.
But, oh no, I know. My number 47 is Fleet the Dice Game.
That's not on my list.
It's not on Billy's list.
But only because I haven't played it.
So Fleet the Dice Game was the first kind of crunchy roll and write that I played. And I will say that the first time that I played it, it was one of the first games I bought, and it was way beyond my ability to play. I had no idea what I was doing. And then after we'd been playing for a while, I thought, hey, let me take out that really cool dice game. And then I loved it, and I played it, and I played it, and I played it. I must have had 30 or 40 plays of it that year. And it led me to all the others that came after it, which I also adore. All of those crunchy roll and writes. But this was my first love of those, and I still like it. And actually, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I should take that out and play it, which I think that might happen a lot on this list too. So you're 47.
My 47 is a game of local motives and locomotives.
Oh, yay!
I think I got that backwards, but close enough. It's Village Rails.
Village Rails, yeah. So that's one of our, you have to give up on your dreams games, where there are so many objectives and so many different ways to score points that
I don't know about so many. More that they're just very divergent
so
from
you
each
have
other.
you have 8 rails coming down, and then you have the objectives.
Trying to do as many as you can, and then you have to decide.
Yeah, you're not going to do all of them. It won't happen. But yeah, I adore this. It's a little card laying game, but it's a very restrictive grid. I think I want to say it's 4x4, the grid. And you're buying up extra tickets to put around the outside, to have extra goals, and you're just trying to line those railways up to score the most points. And it is a nice small box game that we both love very much, and you might hear more about it later on. That's all I'm saying. My number 46 is a game that I misnamed for like 6 months.
And you still do.
And I still do it.
Are you sure you have it written on the page
I do. I wrote
correctly?
it the right way. This game is Stone Spine Architects, and
I thought it was Stone Spire.
no, it's the see. So did I, but it's not. It's Stone Spine.
No, I thought it was like.
No, look.
I thought like you
It's
called
right
it.
there.
No,
No.
you called it Stone Spine,
No.
but it turned out to be Stone
No,
Spire.
right there, Stone Spine. All right, so I keep calling this Stone Spire Architects, and everybody's just going to have to deal with it if I slip up and make that mistake. We only played this a couple of times, and I just like the puzzle of trying to get down into the dungeons and score the most points. I can't even tell you too much about it, except that the puzzle of it made me really happy. And it was a little bit more game than I thought it was going to be, which is fun because I love a good tile laying puzzle game. What is your number 46?
My number 46 is a game I am undefeated at. I have never lost this game ever playing against you specifically. And that is Jaipur.
Mm-hmm.
Undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Reigning champion. Mm-hmm. Unbroken streak.
There
for
might
as long as we've had it.
there might be a reason why we don't play it so much anymore. Jaipur was one of our first like 2-player only head-to-head type games. It's all about those camels.
So we've been playing a lot and for a long time, and you still never won.
No, I never won.
You never win.
You're at a market and you're trading.
I'm a good sport.
You
Why do
are.
you play games with me?
I don't know. Jaipur is a market game, and you're just trying to trade your goods and camels for jewels and
Are
points.
camels not goods?
My number 45 is one that I don't think you've played, and it is an adaptation of a game that we love, and that is Joan of Arc Draw and Write, which is the
I have not
adaptation
played
for
that.
Orleans. I loved this. It gave me all the feels of Orleans without pulling out that whole game for a solo game, because, I love the game, but it's a lot to pick out. And, again, perfect day, perfect spoon, so you might hear about that other game later on.
We might.
But
We
I
might.
I remember when I found this, I actually squealed with joy because I found it on a shelf in a little tiny booth at PAX in the back, and I just hugged it and squealed with happiness. And after playing it, I am still that happy. So, Joan of Arc Draw and Write is another one, and that one made it onto our Roll and Writes top 5 or 10 too. So, okay, what do you have for 45?
My 45, one of the only games that lets me burn down an entire forest out of spite. It's Brew.
It's Brew. Brew is a if you play it the way we do, Brew is quite a mean game. So you're
But the art is so cute, and the little critters are so nice, and I find the mechanics all very
it looks very naturey
charming,
and
and
lovely with little critters, and then you torch a forest so that no one else can have it, and that's kind of fun. This is one that we got to play with other outside family too. That's fun when we can bring other people in and get them to love a game as well.
Mm-hmm.
My number 44 is Parks, including all the expansions. So if I say game, you can bet that the expansions are included, and especially in this one.
Unless you say otherwise.
Unless I say otherwise. Because some of them, they're...
Standalone expansions sometimes you put elsewhere.
Yes. But Parks is a game about hiking through national parks, and I adore this game. It's beautiful. And then we have the expansion that gives us little tents so we can camp in the national parks. And it is a game that my sister and I get to play, which also makes it even more fun for me and special. So I absolutely love taking a hike in the woods and collecting resources so that I can buy a visit or reserve a visit to a national park. Apparently you are not buying the national park, but you're reserving a visit. What is your 44?
My 44 is Bottom of the Ninth. One of the only real-time adjacent games that I actively enjoy.
If you hear the air conditioning, it's because we're in a heat wave here in New Jersey, and so it's hot, and if I don't have the air conditioning on, we're not recording anything. So I'll try to filter it out when I do the audio, but otherwise,
It's so humid, the air is soup, and it's so hot that the soup is boiling.
It's a little icky out. So Billy does not usually like real-time games.
Yeah, they stress me out and they overwhelm me.
But I think this one's different because we aren't racing for the same thing somehow. So in a lot of real-time games, you're like racing for the same thing, and whoever gets there first is going to win. And while that is a component of this, you're both just rolling a die until you can see if the runner is safer out at first. But also, that's only a small part of the game.
Most of the game isn't that. There's just like an exciting thing that happens once in a while.
Right.
Well, not once in a while, but you know what I mean.
And bottom of the ninth is literally that in a game. It is the bottom of the ninth inning of a baseball game. So you're not playing the entire long game. You're just playing the kind of high pressure, whoever wins this is going home the champion part. And you're trying to choose your pitches and guess what the pitcher's going to throw to see if you can get hits. It is crazy fun in a little box. I will say this one, I wouldn't include expansions. We have all of the expansions in a big like collector-y set, but once we started adding them in, we started playing less. So we kind of went back to the base game, and then it's easier to get to the table and play. And we don't play it so much that becomes repetitive, so it's kind of not a problem. My 43 is one of the few, surprisingly, Button Shy games that hit up into the top 50. I think the reason for that is that it's very hard to compare an 18 card game to a really big box game. And while I love them, I also almost always play the solo ones, which means I'm playing them alone. And part of the fun of playing those games, or any games, is to share that with everybody. And Button Shy makes great multiplayer games, but for the most part I play solo, which explains...
Did you say what game it is yet?
Not yet. No, I didn't.
That was a lot of talking.
I know, but I feel like there should be more Button Shy.
I mean...
my number 43 is Skulls of Sedlec, and I am including in here all expansions and the dig-in right. So Skulls can be played with multiple players.
You're including the entire separate game?
Yes, because you need the base deck to play it.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
So in Skulls, you're a monk in the, I think it's 16th century, and you're building an ossuary where you're just placing all these skulls so that everybody's happy. So like the royalty likes to be on top of the pile above everybody else, and the thieves like to be next to the priests so they can confess. And some of the expansions are really cute because there's like lovers, but then there's poets, so they like unrequited love. It's really fun. It has oddly cute art for the theme.
For Skulls?
Yeah. I think it is. I think it is the Button Shy game I have gifted the most because I really love it solo and 2-player, and I think everyone should play it. So I have gifted at least a dozen of these, and I plan to do more. All right, so let's try that again. What's your 43?
My 51 was.
Stop. What's your 43?
My 43 is a game that's really meaningful to me, and that is Duke.
Aw, yes.
It's a game I play a lot with my grandfather.
Yes, you get to play that game a lot with your grandfather because it is a chess-like game where you're putting pieces onto a board that have very specific moves, like chess, but every time you move a piece, you flip it over.
And then the other side has different moves.
And the other side has different moves. But otherwise,
then you do it again and flip it back to the original side, and so
on. And on your turn, there's ways you can draft a person onto the board, or you can move your pieces.
But all of the moves are printed on the pieces themselves.
They are. So
like in very clear pictures.
Yeah, so your opponent can see what your moves might be, but they don't know which one you're going to move or what's on the other side. So once you move it, when you flip it, it is a really fun strategic 2-player game.
Yes.
My 42 is another Button Shy game, and that is Numpsters. And Numpsters is a solo-only game based on the idea, why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. And so you're trying to get the numbers to eat each other. 8 is the mouth that does that. And it's a game that you can play in your hand, which makes it really helpful if you're on an airplane or if you're waiting for your food to come at a restaurant or you just want to sneak in a game at work. You don't have to set up a lot. It just sits in your hand. And I have played this one on repeat over and over and over again. It took the place of Food Chain Island, which was my go-to solitaire game. Not that still doesn't see a lot of plays, but Numpsters, with its adorable art and its very quick no setup, is my number 42. What's your 42?
My number 42 is a game that we have not played often enough lately. That's probably true of most of these, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's Dice Miner.
Oh, yeah.
I love Dice Miner.
Dice Miner is it's a game where you mine dice.
I mean,
it really
that's
is.
Accurate. So.
It really is. There's a little mountain that you set the dice onto, and you can only take them from certain places, and you're collecting sets and trying to get the most of each kind of resource. There are some really cute ones that are like a little beer mug, and you can throw them over at someone and say cheers, and then they get to do something, you get to do something. It is a really quick, fun game that's easy to teach and easy to get out. And I just like the little dice mountain.
It's very thematic looking. It's very cool.
Yeah, it looks like... I'm always sad that we didn't, like...
Just fun to physically play with.
We didn't get, like, the super deluxe mountain.
It's very tactile.
Mm-hmm. It's very cute, though. I like it.
What's your 41? What's your final one for this
video?
My
final one for this video is a game that I have laughed more at than almost any game that we play. And we have played this with my friends, my family, my extended family, people from work, people at the game store, and that is Tapple.
Oh, yeah.
The game of making you feel like you can't remember anything. Tapple is this, it's a toy. It's not even, it's a toy, and it has letters of the alphabet around it, although not every letter, because Y is not there. V isn't there, because I wanted to guess vanilla for ice cream, and it wasn't there. So it has letters all the way around the outside. You flip over a category and you start tapping those letters with the first letter of the answer that you're giving. Once a letter's tapped, no one else can use it, so you have less and less and less.
It seems like it
options.
Should be, like, in theory, like, easy. Like, oh, yeah, I can do that. But as soon as you look at that while the timer is ticking down, your brain just goes blank.
Tickety, 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 ding. I somehow do better at the categories I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
I know, but we faced science fiction movies to you.
Oh, my goodness,
and you drew a blank.
I have watched literally hundreds. I have documented them on Letterboxd. I can count the hundreds of sci-fi movies I have watched.
And you came up with nothing.
I had nothing.
Just sheer panic and a buzzer.
Like, I looked at S. I could have said Star Wars or Star Trek, and
You got nothing. Zero things.
Just completely blanked.
But I think we laugh more at this game than at any other game, because people try to make things up that might be in the category. And I will say that
sounds plausible.
Like, we don't really play for points most of the time. We just go around a set number of times, and so we are very lenient on the scoring. But when we do play for points, we are not so lenient. But it is a lot of fun in a silly little toy, and that's my number 41. So what is your last one for this video?
It's a very nice, it's probably the most calming dice game that I know of. It reminds me of Epcot. It's Lanterns Dice.
It's Epcot Dice.
Because it reminds me of, like, the fireworks over the big central lake.
Mm-hmm. It does. It reminds me of that too. I'm not sure why, but it just does. Lanterns Dice is a roll and write where you're...
Probably because it's about fireworks over water. But, I mean...
You're coloring in shapes on the sheet so that you can then take polyomino tiles and lay them over those shapes to score points. And you're doing that by rolling colored dice. And your choice of dice determines your opponent's choice of dice, because there's a little tray that they fit into, and the ones that face you are yours, and the ones that face your opponent are your opponent's. So you can be very nice and relaxed, or you can take the dice away from your opponent. It's either one of those. So that was our 50 through 41. Ignore what I said at the beginning of that video. And we will be back with our 40 through 31 next time, and then we will keep this going and land on our 3-year anniversary for the channel with our top 10.
Woo!
Yay! So stick around, watch them all. Tell us what you think. Yell at us for our choices. They're our choices, and we're sticking by them. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see,
or if you'd like to keep watching until we get one right,
then please like, subscribe, and share. As always, open tables, open minds, and play yourselves.
Bye! You moved one.
I moved one. No peeking at the list.
There's a lot of, like, pen marks on your page there for just one thing to have been moved.
No, this is me planning out the...
Lift it. Show me the other pages. The other pages, though. Oh, that looks like more. That looks like more.
It's not more.
What's the difference? You just
I
said the same
would
thing
do
twice.
no. I would do 50, and then you would, and then you would do 49, and I would. Or you
Well,
just
that
want
just sounds confusing.
Okay, we'll just go back and forth. Okay, you ready?
Uh huh.
And that is what this is, and it is Stone Spine Architects.
I thought it was Spire.
No, stop it. What is your number
just said
46?
Spire.
I'm going to beat you. Do you know what I just realized?
What?
I said we were doing our 50 to 51. We were doing 50 to 41.
Yeah,
I
you
will just
put
put
up
a
little
thing that says
disclaimer.
I'm an idiot. Okay. All right, so let's try that again. What's your 43?
My 51 was
What